Here we go. Another live. And you know what the funny part about this is? To be consistent is a major calling for me. And I've been at this a long time and we're still going. So if you guys could please share this with your friends, because part of your energy and part of my energy, it's just symbiotic and it keeps me doing this thing over and over. We're in the garden right now and the plants are looking pretty amazing. This is a blackberry strain, very uniform, super healthy, and we're about to turn on the under canopies. But today, I have the exciting privilege to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Logan Dunn. He owns Dunn Cannabis, and he is a veteran grower. He's excellent at what he dodoes, and I'm gonna invite him in right now. So you're gonna learn a ton of things about Logan, and if you have a chance, give him a follow, because he's a pretty rad dude. He's like I said, he's a friend of mine, so when I mean that he comes and plays poker with me and we hang out, and he's a super good dude. He knows a thing or two about cannabis, I'll tell you that. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two. Logan, microprocessor. How has it been? How has it been going to legal? And how is the experience overall?
It's a grind. You know what I mean? It's the cannabis industry is something for special people, without a doubt. But if you love the industry and you want to be part of it, it comes with a lot of learning. It's a new industry. It's got new regulations. It's got, new employees at CRA, new employees at Health Canada, rotating people. There's attrition. So that's just constantly being challenged with sort of everybody understanding what this gigantic booklet of regulations really means. And for everybody has a different interpretation of that as well, right? So I think that it just comes down to, like, if you love the plant and you love growing product and I've been in this space for a long, long time, as you know. We're here to, make good flower. And so I jumped in early on, obviously, one of the first micros in the space. That was probably a really, really good time to enter, because there is a lot of learning involved. And as much as they want you to fully understand the regulations on day one, you really have to just be thrown in that fire pit and then learn how and where to move around and oh, okay, we can do better here, or oh, you need that done this way, and it's just it's a learning experience. So, but I love it. I think our team loves it. We have a really cool community of people around us, and really great people that essentially just make it all happen.
Perfect. I was just saying before you jumped on, it's been nice. Well, first and foremost, we're actually friends. So having access to your facility when there's a new product or there's some testing, or I've got a fave in light, tell me what you think of it. That has been instrumental, right? I can have my experience. That's why we have our test garden here, but it's not good enough to say, hey, this is a great product if we've just got it out to one people. We need 10, 15, 20 testers to have the same consecutive results before I say Green Planet stands behind this product. And what was your experience with Faven? I know we already had Faven on earlier. I'm a big fan, but what was your personal experience?
So under canopy lighting, in my opinion, is very similar with lots of different products, right? Faven is great. There's some really great under canopy lights that we've used, and they all have extremely similar results. So each room can, do a little better than the other one, just depending on environmentals and stuff, or if your air conditioner needs a new filter or whatever, right? But the result that Faven's produced is exceptional. So Mark on here. Mark Wallman is dancing around somewhere.
I believe I think he jumped in. I know Dom's here. I saw Dom jump in.
Well, Mark phones me up and he's like, he calls me with all these new things like, hey, we want to try this, we want to try that, right? And of course, you're our guys, so we're down. We'll try lots of different things to see what's great. But this one here was really, really special, and we've seen a million products come across the cannabis industry for the last, few decades. Mm-hmm. This one here is something that every smaller producer or larger, but the smaller guys, because you are limited on, your grow space and stuff, you need to capture your yields, and this is the answer. It really is. I've pushed other guys in the space. I just had a call of a friend back east, and Jesse told me he bought some lights. Thanks for pushing me. It is the answer to the small producer equation to really help you out in that space, right?
I mean, it takes your smalls to mids, right? It's now a saleable product.
Yeah, I mean, we got 30+% increase in yields. To do the math on that.
That's consistently what we see.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not a one-off. I mean, to make a claim that you're going to get 30% more yield is
It's silly because no one really listens to
silly.
it. And that's
Because,
why you guys pitched it to me at 20%. And I'm like, okay, let's see what 20 does.
I would way rather tell you 20 and you get 30, 40. Consistently, I hear 30%. I don't want to ever tell people that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, we never say you're guaranteed to get this. There's no guarantees in this industry. God, don't we know it?
Yeah.
But speaking of snake oil products, I have a poker room full of them. Like just old school. I'm not going to start dissing on brands that are super old, but old school technologies of things, certain water cooled lights, certain this, certain that, like 30-year-old tech that people swore is going to, increase your yield, and people got on it, and people still wanted to buy these things, and without the data. That's the nice thing about legalization, right? Now we have data to substantiate this is going to give me X amount more yield. There's, I have the yield before, I have the THC numbers before. We're able to standardize and recreate this time and time again. And that's really one of the nice things about legalization, where in the gray market, it is, I cropped out, I didn't weigh each plant. I don't know exactly what I got it out. I dried it as fast as humanly possible and it's gone, right? Now curing has become a big thing.
Legal space, you can confidently make that investment too. You know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily you're just outfitting a big site that could have a problem tomorrow or the next day, right? In the legal space, and I always push for people to go to the legal route, because this is going to end up like alcohol. I all of my good friends, Dylan, I really encouraged him to get into the space, and the guy's a superstar. He's doing amazing things, and I'm so glad I pushed him to do everything he's doing, because it's amazing. So I really encourage a lot of guys from the gray market to get involved. And as of lately, I've had a lot of guys move over again. Like it's coming in tranches, right? If the gray space is still a little bit strong, people still feel confident to continue to operate in it. But as it weakens, like it is right now, it's quite weakened. Guys are more encouraged to get in the legal space. And now we got like some of our guys that have been working us for years that had, tippy-toeing back and forth, are now just all in, and they deserve to be all in this space, because they're great at what they do, and it's a different way of life. You wake up in the morning differently. You got to deal with some bullshit and I guess I can't say shit, but you got to deal with some stuff, right? Some paperwork, and play with CRA and all that kind of jazz. But at the end of the day, it's worth the the time to put into the legal space, not just for yourself, but for your family, for your friends, for your and for your community. Yeah.
For sure. What would it take if someone's watching this for them to be like, what's the first steps someone would take to get into the legal space?
I mean, the first steps are essentially finding out if your community, wherever you are, is receptive in it, right? So there's communities and municipalities that aren't necessarily receptive in the allowing you to join. They don't want grows and that type of stuff in their community. So that's the first thing to do, because you don't want to make an investment to find out that it's not going to happen, right? So that would be the first thing that I would kind of like encourage people to look at. It's changing, and the more time that goes on, more and more communities are allowing it, right? So some of the communities that we thought that would never allow it, look at me, I'm in Abbotsford. It's very conservative, chicken farmers, that's where it's at.
A lot of churches.
Yeah. And that's and so they've been open to it, and Langley's been great, really good people over there in the city, and helping encourage people to kind of do the right path instead of the one that's just going down in price, really.
Yeah, I mean, the gray market's tough right now. It's tough all over. So I think the natural transition is to the legal market, and it's how do you set yourself apart in the legal space now? Because you mentioned Dylan, right? He's an incredible operator. Yeah, Pistol in Paris is a really well recognized brand, but guess what? He was really good at what he did in the gray market, right? So there's really great operators in the gray market that a nice transition over, you already have all the business acumen. You've already got the relationships. You've already got all those things. And those relationships, interestingly, mesh into the legal market a lot. And I can say this because I was a legacy guy too, and I got involved in retail stores in the early 90s, and I said, I'm done. And I transitioned into a segment within the industry that was fully legal. And, I took a lot of pride in making BC very green and being the store, the P&W that everybody came to. And, most of my graduating class supported my business. So it was incredibly good timing. And it was the early days of BC Bud. We didn't know BC Bud was a thing. We were just like, holy shit, we're selling a lot of products for weed. So
it's funny looking back, you know, like what we had back then that we didn't really know we had. And then legal space, everybody was growing illegally just to kind of, you know, this should be legal. This should, you know, it's not harmful.
oh, we knew full well that this was not as bad as everyone had said it was.
What they know now, which is why it's legal. And so the day that that happened, I mean, I must have been the first or second guy that has a CTLS account that submitted their application because I wanted to, you know, we wanted to do this the right way all along, you know what I mean? And so given that opportunity, I ran at it. A lot of guys ran at it. More and more people are running at it. And with, you know, recent regulation changes, it's making it more financially feasible for guys in the gray space to run at it. So
I always find myself feeling like Al Bundy from Married with Children, you know, looking back fondly upon those early days, right? Like the football superstar. And looking back at what we all had is insane. Like the amount of good times, the amount of people's dreams that naturally happened. People bought buildings, people bought new vehicles. You know, that was one of the beautiful things I saw when people walked into a P&W and they were like, it's basically no different than poker. You get a chip and a chair. You're buying one light, you're starting with one light, you're buying 10 the next crop. You're gambling on yourself. And it was really interesting because people that gambled on themselves in the 90s kept communities alive. And people talk about the cannabis community. This was a community that was started long before legalization. And I didn't meet a true criminal until legalization. And they came in suits. You know what I mean?
like, yeah, no, 100%.
I met some really interesting cats, but I didn't get to see
some suits spend some money, and it can be ugly when they spend too much of it, right?
Well, that was 2020. You know, I mean 2019.
Well, you know, having said that, like in their defense, because I'm always, you know, being very critical thinking.
For sure.
The weed was selling at like $10 a gram, which you know reflected what excise should have been or should be at the price point. But with the amount of like, you know, growing producers, micro producers, standard producers, large LPs learning how to produce in a better way, more efficient way, the price has been compressed so much that excise is disconnected by 75-80% at this point in time.
You're paying like today's price, you're paying 25-30% tax on your cannabis before it even leaves your building. The excise is basically that, correct? Because it was supposed to be $1 a gram on a $15 gram.
Yeah, it was just under 10%. I think they based it on 10%, which was $10 at that time. But now, you know, like wholesale cannabis sells for, you know, anywhere from $2.25 to $3, right? And so at $3, it should be, you know, 30 cents.
It should be 30 cents, exactly. But
it should be 30 cents.
Once again, our government likes making money. And, you know, once there's a tax implemented, they don't usually take it away, even if they implemented themselves. Thanks, Carney, on the carbon tax. But, you know, it's something else, right? Like it's really, when a tax is implemented, they don't want to turn that tap off. It has been so detrimental to the industry having to operate with such a high tax rate. And the consumer doesn't see that, right? They're paying tax on the product at the store. So there's a 30% tax right out of the gate. And then there's another 12%, whatever, GST, PST. And what other taxes are there? I saw the breakdown at Green Mile, and they looked at, they showed me the whole breakdown of all the taxes. And it's insane. I should actually share the picture. And the tax in cannabis in 2024 was over $2 billion.
Yeah. It's insane. Like the people that, you know, if you're in a big company, and I kind of made a really great relationship with a large LP, you know, and it's been amazing. The people over there are really, really good people, as much as, you know, everybody wants to view them as different. They're not. They're super good, reliable people.
Not all suits are created equal. Not all people are created equal. So we can't.
But imagine creating a business plan for like, you know, your revenues at $10 a gram, and then within like 6 months it's down to, you know, 3, and then 6 months later it's down to 2 or sub. I think the prices got so low, you know, 6-8 months ago, where it was virtually free for some of these products. You know.
Listen, Christina hit the nail on the head. We are taxed to death in Canada. We absolutely are taxed to death in Canada, and it's bullshit. Like,
Yeah. And then like, I don't think there's any really lobbying that we can do to make that change. I think with all the things that have happened, the only time that I thought that there might have been a possibility of change was the recent election. So, I've had conversations with the conservative government at that point in time saying, like, this is a really good speaking point, not just for votes, but for the, the health of the community, like the health of the industry.
Listen, the only way change happens is grassroots. And honestly, we need to come together, all 21 people. Let's go to our houses, start kicking in doors and losing our shit.
Well, I mean, every month, every single week, a new company goes CCAA, to restructure and to screw their head on against trade. And it's not because they've mismanaged money, but there's probably mismanaged money situations in play there. It's just because the plan has changed so dramatically and the government hasn't been there to support the reduction in excise and stuff, right? So they'll continue to see that happen until there really is enough change that they go, okay, well, we should probably look at making an adjustment, like an infused pre-roll, half gram infused pre-roll. It's taxed at the potency of the pre-roll. So this is 35%. It's $3.50 per gram. So it's like $9 for 5 of these things in a jar, right?
Just tax.
Just an excise. We pay it. Sure, we collect it. We pay it, but the consumer pays it.
And it's safe to say that this Grow Your 4 in Canada has been a complete and utter disaster. And it doesn't seem like a lot of people are like, oh my God, I want to grow 4 plants. Yeah. Because to be honest with you, I mean, we talk about cannabis all the time being addictive and all this, that, and the other. And for me, growing cannabis is addictive. There has not been a year or a summer that I haven't had at least 1 plant outside. Yeah. They literally are my babies. I love it. It's fun. It's so much fun to grow your own. Even though I know we're talking about a licensed producer and everything else, you might forego a bit of profit by someone doing it themselves. But there's so much to go around, and that breeds the culture, and it's fun. So growing 100% is addictive, and it's super fun. It's therapeutic. There's such an upside.
Yeah, and it's unfair for like some of these people to, these Bacardi drinking computer warriors in their mom's basements to jump online and LinkedIn and trash everybody and say that they don't know how to run their ships. Yeah. It's a little frustrating reading that, and they can say whatever they want to say at the end of the day because we're a free country. If you really think that you can operate in such an evolving cannabis industry better than everybody else, then get out of your basement and roll up your sleeves. But
I 100% agree with you.
Right.
Yeah. It truly is that.
Yeah. But having said that, the small guys have been able to kind of weather the storm because the hurt is not millions. The hurt is tens of thousands, right? And so it's less of a hurt. It's more of like a hurdle to overcome. But, again, my partnership with the big LP, they employed like hundreds, I think almost 500 people at one point in time. It's a lot of people. That's a big payroll. You know what I mean? And it's like they can't expect somebody, although he may be wealthy, to sit back and lose money. That's not very smart, right? No. I've met him personally. He's a great gentleman and he's honorable. And
I've said this so many times, Logan. I've said this so many times, right? This industry needs some form of marketing board to allow and meet the demand and the supply, right? Like listen, it's not to gouge people, but when you're selling a gram for $1 a gram, you're losing money on every single gram, regardless of being a good operator or a bad operator or pulling 3, 4 at a light. You're gonna lose money, and that's not fair. But the problem I have is the government's still printing licenses.
Yeah. You're also encouraging the black market too, because when it becomes more financially profitable, you're going to see more guys that are in the gray space make the transition when it makes more sense for them. Again, like one of the questions I think we have on the giveaway thing is, what is the canopy space for a micro, right? I don't know if you want
What is the what?
The canopy space allowable for a micro today, or what was it like 3 months ago, right? So
yeah, some people in chat. I do. So the question from Logan is, how big is the canopy space allowed by Health Canada for a microprocessor? And it just recently changed, so it's a 2-part answer. And Logan's
micro producer.
Sorry, micro producer. Yeah. So the question is, how big is the microprocessor was? And they just recently changed the regulations to increased canopy size. How big is the new canopy size for a microprocessor?
It was 200 square meters, but with the recent regulation changes, it's now 800. So you can, as a micro, produce up to 2,400 kgs annually and have 800 square meters of canopy space, with which I think translates to 8,100 and change square feet. The now is like encouraging guys to make the transition, because before you're limited to 600 kgs, now you're up to 2,400 kgs, right?
Yeah.
So it's a huge increase. It should stimulate a lot of guys to go, hey, it's time, we can do this.
So the other thing interesting enough with the new regulations is something called farmgate. And that is it sounds like a very exciting thing you have kind of got planned. We talked about this a little earlier. What is farmgate and why is it important?
So farmgate, there's not a lot of farm gates out there, but it's really important that I've found, because a lot of times as a grower or cultivator, we're really relying on our relationships to sell our flower. We're relying on the export market to do well. We're relying on, local producers or processors to have SKUs that like move your flower and that you could sell into, right? That's ever changing. You know what I mean? And I felt like full integration of your business model, which is what we do. We have a nursery, we have a micro, we call it the mega micro. It's 800 square meters. We have a processing facility, all at different locations. And we're going through the process of doing the application for the farm gate, which is known as a PRS location, production retail store. And what that's going to do is not only going to allow us to, pay our fair share when it comes to what everybody needs at this current moment, tax wise, but we're going to be able to get products to market faster, sooner, in an demographic area that consumes a ton of cannabis, and harvests that are literally a week or less old in many cases. Pre-rolls that are like Keith Coda infused that had gotten done a day or two prior, right? And we'll also be able to like let everybody know very timely what's coming, what's getting harvested next week, what's coming, to availability on Tuesday drop or whatever it might be. We're going to support other micros that are in our community, guys like Dylan and other companies that are fantastic. We work with the Loud Plug a lot. We're going to highlight their products in the store, and we're going to be able to showcase things that aren't necessarily available in BC markets, but we're going to be able to demonstrate what they really wanted their products to look like on the shelf. When it hits BC, it could be a month, could be a month and a half, could be 2 months before that thing actually gets in the consumer's hand, or longer, right?
Yeah.
This way we can get the
And
product.
there's no RTV, return to vendor. It's
There's
you
no
selling
RTV.
it.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to talk about your product. You'll be able to tell what you've grown with. Will customers actually be able to see the grow in action?
I mean, we can probably schedule like walkthroughs and make that experience virtual in the stores, where they can visually see what's happening in those very moments in time. Just for PP reasons, we'd probably want to keep people out of there unless it's some.
I mean, even a window, into the actual Farmgate store.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's going to be some really cool stuff in those store. And again, we're going to highlight people we believe in. We know are really great producers. There's a company back east in Manitoba, Keith Cannabis. I'd love to have his products there. I'd love to have Dylan's stuff. I'd love to have Cyrus's Loud Plug stuff there. The infused Jeters are super popular. Love to have all that kind of stuff there. But stuff that we really believe in, we know the consumer likes, and things that we can speak highly of because we have personal relationships with.
And you can pay them a fair price for their product. This is the part of it, right? Like if you like the cannabis you're buying, it's an actual decision, and you're supporting somebody who is a decent person in the space, right? Like lowballing, even the gray market. Like when you're buying pounds, $400 a pound, that pound's not going to be there in 6 months. I'm just saying, if you give a shit about the industry and you want to continue to support people in the space, pay them a fair dollar for their product. Like just lowballing them or saying, oh, it's too dark, it's too green, too this, too that. Like it's a pile of shit. Making high quality cannabis, pheno hunting, putting your heart and soul into something,
that's what it's all about.
Deserves a fair price. And honestly, it goes all the way down the line to, what nutrients you're running, supporting brands, supporting like this. Growing Exposed doesn't just pay for itself. It's funded by people that try our products and have the experience. And honestly, it's a real pleasure to bring and highlight those brands and those products to you, the grower. And it directly affects every single segment in the space. So just be fair, be understandable. Like, I'm involved also in a legal veteran-owned brand cannabis called 61 Charlie, and I want to buy the nicest cannabis out there. And I want to pay a fair dollar for it. The last thing I want to do is lowball somebody, because that's where it starts, right? Pushing others down to get yourself up is a really bad way of doing business.
For sure, for sure.
And understanding someone else's plight, knowing that they were at a 10% tax when they're now at 30, 40%, that's a real tough, bitter pill to swallow, right? So it's true. Nobody in the cannabis space is getting rich right now.
No, but you know what? We're getting by, and we're learning,
Yeah.
and we're finding out like what is the thing that I need to implement into my business model that gets me to this another level. What can I do to support guys I believe in? The financial models is great if it works out to what you dream it to be.
Yeah.
We all dreamt it to be $10. It ain't $10 anymore.
No.
One of the questions in here is, what's a fair price? Well, a fair price is something that you pay your producer where they're very satisfied with being able to sell it at that rate.
Yeah.
Because I think there's guys that really believe that the product should be sold for $10 a gram, but it's just really difficult to sell that to the consumer. So it's a matter of like, the fair price is the right price for that company and that business model and that group of guys. Does it support their people? Collectively in the Lower Mainland, I think me and a few other groups, we hire probably 100 people, right? We support 100 people in the community with jobs on a regular basis. And that's what's important. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
Important, but you don't want to go backwards, right? But if you're making it,
listen, you don't want to lose money in this space. Like, losing money is never fun.
Doesn't matter what space you're in.
No, it doesn't matter at all. But I will say this, being cannabis cultivators, we are probably the most able to adapt. There's a saying, adapt, overcome. We have always had to adapt, from gray market to legal. It's nothing new for us, and it's really Green Planet. We had to make a powder line. We needed to compete in the powder space because the powder is now a commercially designed product, and we did it. But it was very, very difficult to make a product that is, because I'm no different than you. I have to win on price. I have to win on quality. I have to win on inputs. I have to win on everything. It has to be grower first, right? And every time we develop a product or work in the industry, I'm always thinking, is this going to provide value to a grower? Is this going to be something that the grower is going to succeed with? Because if I'm not thinking of them, and I'm only thinking about my pocketbook, I may as well just close up shop.
I gotta say, like, with the cannabis changes is one thing, but then we have this like enormous political change that's happening across the planet, right? There's tariffs and things that affect people's spending and whatnot like that. I gotta say, like, and I might be biased because I've actually met Donald Trump and spent the evening with him.
Okay.
And he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
But he's really shaking it up over there. But what that's taught me is that, like, Canada can't be only reliant on the United States to sell their products and stuff. For me as a small business, I can't only be reliant on one large LP with great people in it, right? I can't, because things are changing all the time, right? So I've really just taken that opportunity and listened to the changes that have happened down there, seen the results up here, and said, okay, I should probably diversify a little bit and find vertical integration where I can do it all myself, but also build the relationships with other people, right? And help support other guys that maybe necessarily do it on their own.
Listen, I think you're spot on there. I think you'd be foolish and remiss to think that the export market is there forever. It's not. The export market is going to go away for sure, and you need to be able to profit in the domestic market. You need to be able to carve out a piece for yourself in the domestic market. And it's really, really, really important, because that market, Germany, is going to start making their own. Thailand already has made, they've got an oversupply in Thailand right now. As areas come on, when they legalize, they'll buy up our product out of Canada until they find an opportunity to do it themselves. Selfless plug.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what political power is in joint right now. All that matters is that, regardless of everybody's thinking, that we sort of just need to unite in our ways to like make life great and accept everybody for, who they are and what they bring to the table, whether you like it or not.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I did a video on, this Buy Canadian, right? I want to continue supporting people that I know in the States and brands I know in the States. I find it shocking how you get one guy at the top that says, fuck them, and everybody runs out and they're like, fuck those guys. It's like, are you kidding me?
It's crazy.
We've done business with people in the States for decades. And it's really important that I continue to foster those relationships. I love people in the States. I love people in Canada. All I know is in the last year, I would say, it's been more difficult for everybody to get ahead. No one is really thriving. Everybody's grinding it out. And
Kids aren't moving out anytime soon. You know what I mean?
no,
Not because we want them. Not it's just because they can't.
no.
They can't. It's not feasible. We got to make a change some way, shape, or form. Maybe that comes with working a lot harder, but maybe it comes with a little bit of help too from the powers that be that allow us to go, okay, we want these guys to be successful. Canada should want us to want to support the corporations that it has within it and, listen to them and help and want them to thrive, want them to grow. So
we've had a 6.5-year head start in an industry that's fully federally legal, right? That's amazing. Anybody that's been able to carve out a piece for themselves and stay around this long really deserves the next decade. We just won the best wholesale supplier at the Grow Up last weekend. And that's a huge feather in Green Planet's cap. It was a real honor to win that award. But I said, honestly, I went up on stage and I said, listen, it's a real pleasure to do what you love around people that love what they do, right? That is more valuable than anything. I love this industry. I love the people in this industry. Everything that we do comes from that place. It sounds salesy, but it's just, I've never, looking back in the 90s, looking back on all of it, this was I grew up in Surrey, which is a lower class shithole. It was an opportunity to get ahead. It was the chip in a chair, right? You were a gambler, you understand that. So it was, and then it was an honor to pull my friends out of that shithole, and we all moved to Langley. We didn't quite get far enough, but yeah. So it's pretty funny.
I'm just gonna say the space is tricky, and again, I've worked with large LPs, and I gotta say, there's really, really great people there. I've fostered relationships with them over there that even if we do less business or none for that matter, they're gonna be involved in my life for the rest of my life. There's good people in big companies, there's good people in medium-sized companies, small companies, and I just think that everybody needs to make decisions that are best for them and best for the people that work for them to maintain jobs, to maintain the industry and continue doing what you love doing.
Honestly, we've been at this show for what, Jeremy, 10 years? I have yet to go on a grow and meet a person that I'm like, fuck that guy. It's not fabricated. Every single person that we meet along the way, we have a kindred, kind, happy relationship. And honestly, I can call up any of those people and be like, hey, try this, help me out, do this, do that, and vice versa. Growing exposed is a very strange animal that I'll sit down with the people the night before the shoot and I'll be like, our relationship's about to change. And it genuinely does in such a cool way. How was your experience on Growing Exposed? How was your experience on Growing Exposed?
Oh, it was great. It was great. And it highlighted us probably to the right people early on in the industry where we just constantly got phone calls after that to do business because we know what we're doing in the cultivation space. And they brought me in with the large LP and I got involved over there. And it was education, PhD in cannabis, in legal cannabis, because you get to learn a ton of stuff that you want to pretend that that you don't, and it really just allows you to kind of be a way better businessman, have a way better business model, and have a team that supports you. And I got to shout out here for all of my team. You know what I mean? They're amazing. We got the best growers in the country over here, hands down. We got the most reliable people in the background helping us out. The family over here has just been incredible, supporting everything we're doing and listening to us and taking our word for it, even though it might be a scary moment in time. And then we got guys that are in the space too that we support and they support us. right? That we encourage and they encourage us. And so guys like, like Dylan's one of my best pals,
Yeah.
right? He supports, we have a call, every couple of days, and it's like, he's telling me about his problems. I'm telling him about mine. I'm telling him about a fix. He's telling me about his fixes. Like, we're all kind of like working together
Collaborate.
to collaborating to make it all happen, make it real, and keep doing the good work.
Yeah, it was a fun shoot with Dylan. I told him I was late for dinner at the end of the shoot, and he was like, well, he dropped me off in my backyard in the helicopter. It was pretty hilarious. My family was like, what the hell? Dad's home from work. Yeah, he's a great guy, honestly, and he deserves his piece of the pie. Everybody that's put their... Pardon?
He works so hard for it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Everybody that's been in the space a long time has an incredible work ethic, and they're doing it for the love of the plant. And that's really, really important to note. So next time you walk into a dispensary, go check out the farmgate. It's going to be, can I say where the farmgate's going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in Langley. And that's, just for the record, Langley is the hottest selling market in British Columbia for cannabis. There's more cannabis sold in Langley than anywhere else. And you're going to be by the airport in Langley. So
correct. Yeah.
It's going to be pretty damn cool to, go get what you want, something fresh, something, and you'll get to meet yourself, Dylan, any of these people that will genuinely have a footprint. And my understanding is, which excitedly enough, is you're collaborating with those other gardens in this farm gate.
Yeah, we are. We want to highlight a lot of guys that we know are awesome. And, we also want to have an experience, not just buying flower, but like coming for music, coming for a walk, because it's a large parcel of property. You can take your dog for a walk. You can sit down, enjoy some sun, watch some planes.
Yeah.
There'll be foods and stuff like that, most likely from craft and local producers, and just kind of like really kind of creating a craft experience in that environment.
So we probably should jump into questions, because we've been going forever here.
We can jab forever.
What would be the definition of a micro producer in Canada?
Definition: small batch, 800 square meters. Just essentially somebody that can really like be an expert in their field, or that has been an expert in their field on a small scale. It's more so like for the smaller, medium type business owners, people that don't want to get into the huge dollars, huge LP zone. And I would also say it's most likely built to really encourage guys that are potentially growing in the space, the traditional market, and give them an element of entry. I would say that's probably why they did it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strange question, but I'm sure someone's going to wonder, what is the cost to get into a micro building? Ballpark.
In British Columbia,
yeah,
things cost a lot of money. I've seen...
Without the land.
Yeah, without the land. I mean, if you don't got to build buildings and stuff like that, if you want it to be super fancy, you could get into it for $3 million. But I've seen guys build facilities for less than 200 grand, and licensed. So the spread is big. And if you have limited resources, then you can get the entry level, you get approved and licensed and whatnot. And then as you grow, you can make a business decision to be better, to, implement LED lighting or under canopy lighting, or, just get a little bit more compliant with your facility and stuff like that. So it ranges. Yeah. It ranges. It's even cheaper if you wanted just to do outdoor stuff.
Totally. Have you heard of Gambit? Gambit makes a light in a tent. I have heard of Gambit, yes. Nice guys. I have. The question is, should I raise my lights if I add under canopy lighting?
Good question.
Can I answer that? It's a good question. Great question, actually. So 2/3 of your lighting should be coming from the top. 1/3 should be coming from the bottom. That's the math on it. So the ability to, one of the things I really like about LED is I put this light right here. It's literally at plant height, a few inches, like literally that high above. Every photon, this is one of the things I love about LED. Every photon that's being produced out of those lights is being delivered to make more flower. Same thing with LED. You're right at the canopy. Same thing with under canopy. You're right at the actual plant, and you're under lighting, and every photon being produced. So I've got, a 3.5 foot plant here, and typically on a plant this size, I'll have the top 1.5 to 2 feet is where the predominant yield is. With the under canopy, I'm going to be thick all the way through. It just does an amazing job of equalizing the overall yield.
Yeah, and like being more specific, I don't think that it really depends on your PPFD down there. If your lights are right on your table versus elevated a little bit closer to the canopy, get a light meter, check your PPFD,
Absolutely.
and I like to cover as much of that lower section as possible
Yeah.
with the light itself. But also at the same time, I usually come up 6 to 8 inches off the table with plants, and like you mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the ability to, and that's exactly it. You can have
If you're
quantity
stripping
standards.
higher, taking more
Yeah.
lowers off, obviously you want to bump that up to 12, 15, depending on how much you're taking off the bottom.
So that's it, right? I don't like overly stripping. It's too much effort, too much work. And, with under canopy, you're foregoing yield. All those flowers down there now produce. Does more supply of cannabis hurt the price of the pound?
It shouldn't. And it really depends on if you're advertising that. As a good business person, you might not want to advertise your yields if you're doing not well at 1.5 or if you're doing well at 3.5. The price sells is pretty stable nowadays.
Yeah.
So if it's going to sell at 240 or 250 a gram, that's usually what the price is for all your bigs and whatnot, local domestic purchases. But yeah, it doesn't really attribute it to it. If you get more yield, you get more business revenue.
Yeah. Hey, Logan, that was my question. Yeah. What I meant was you were earlier talking, you're like, oh, we've opened it up. There's more canopy space allowed now. And you were saying now's a good time for some people to get in. And I'm thinking, well, isn't a lot more product getting in the market going to actually push the price down even more? And I'm like, where does all this cannabis go? Do we need more in Canada? I'm not familiar with the supply right now. My understanding is there's lots of cannabis. And so do you want more? I know dairy and other places have restrictions on how much they can produce. And in the Washington state, I can tell you they allowed a whole bunch more canopy space around the time when COVID happened, and it was a disaster for the price of the pound.
Yeah, I mean the increase is very new to the space. The regulations have recently changed, so the results of that aren't going to be shown quite yet.
No, they'll be coming up in a year.
But
Principles of demand and supply naturally
They
will
would apply.
apply here. So
Yeah.
prices will
be compressed with more supply.
Possibly. There's more and more countries that are coming online that are allowing import.
Yeah.
Germany, things like that. Germany, you can't even have a micro cultivator over there because the cost of power is so enormous. You'll lose money constantly every month. So they're going to continue to export products from Canada. As more places open up, who knows what'll happen? But let's just say China, Japan, like these locations open up for export and becomes legal over there. I can't see that happening anytime soon, but if it does, we're talking a lot of people that are going to need a lot of product.
Listen, I need China and India to legalize. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Or just try it. We should just ship over like one joint to every Chinese and every Indian and just, get them, first hits free and, Dunn Cannabis. Dunn Cannabis, try it, you'll like it, and we can make a lot more. So,
and then legalize it.
And then legalize it, exactly. Would altering the grading system alter the price and quality? Is that the question? Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on where you want to go. You know what I mean? I think like there's value SKUs that can breathe in these smaller grades of cannabis, right? And it doesn't hurt the SKU. It doesn't, if you get bigger ones in there, cool. People aren't expecting a lot because it is a value SKU. Then you got stuff like, Dylan's product where it needs to be big, it needs to be chunky, it needs to be like something the consumer is really going to want.
Yeah.
So the grade of it would be selling it higher, but the processing part of it might change. We might allocate 8 or 10 kilos from this batch specifically for 3.5s or 7s versus, hey, let's take this quantity of flower, a combination of smalls, mediums, and larges, and do a value SKU with it.
Yeah, listen, smalls just have less lumber. Smalls are way better value, but for some reason it's just this, big dick energy that, hey, check out my big nugget, It's a pretty funny thing. It's a pretty funny thing, right? But you're getting lumber along with it.
Yeah.
You do all your own cuttings there, correct?
Yeah, we have a nursery too. So it's going through some renovation stuff right now, but we do all of our own cuttings with all our own genetics in our site. It's cost reduction, right? If you got to buy them somewhere else, it costs you money. So bring it in house.
And this is a sore spot question for me. What nutrients do you run?
We bounce around a little bit, but we've found success with one brand right now, and I can't say I don't rule yours out. I think yours is great. Look at your plants in the background; it's fucking awesome, Justin. You're doing great stuff. But with the team that we've had right now, and we've implemented large scale, to make a change isn't like, hey, let's just change. We got to like implement a change, and it takes time to make that change. Man, I'm smoking this new drippy from the Loud Plug. So good.
It's good.
Oh yeah.
You were doing yesterday. You were doing pancakes and what was it? Cookies and what was the strain you were consuming yesterday?
Yeah, it was like churro and pancake, and then I tried strawberry milkshake. That was strawberry milkshake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really nice.
So the other question, obviously, you've picked up cookies for Canada.
Yeah, we did. We've been doing the processing for them for a while now.
Yeah.
Just in the last year, and that one's a tricky one. We love like 3.5s, pre-rolls and stuff like that. We can do them amazing, but again, with the price compression, we get into like large format flour, and again, the price of things nowadays is way higher than it was, 8-9 months ago.
Yeah.
So you can't buy $2 flour to put into a SKU and lose $40 every time you sell a bag. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense for anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like we wanted to do some reduction in SKUs and get rid of some of these higher large volume format SKUs, because the cost that it is doesn't make sense. It doesn't bring what the brand should, that speaks to, right? Cookies speaks to like higher quality flour, and if you're not putting that in there, then why sell it? So
Totally. I always thought it'd be really funny, like, because rosins and hashes and this, that, and the other. You and I talked about this a long time ago. I always thought it'd be funny to have a flour, a stick, some shake, and then hash, and it just basically flour deconstructed. That's an interesting way to. I mean, I don't know how that works for legalization and avoiding tax, but I think it'd be really fun to throw a piece of wood in there.
Well, I think it'd be inexperienced for somebody that like wants to do something fun at Christmas and trim a dried plant up and separate it all and you know what I mean? You get stoned enough, you want to do some weird stuff, right? Nowadays, the kids, they just Amazon everything to their house. So it's pre-roll city.
The pre-rolls are the dominant SKU in the space, yeah?
Yeah, it's the future, really. I mean, eventually it'll get to a point where everything will be pre-rolls and, bags will be very, very low volume items. People are old school. They want to grind their own stuff, roll it the way they've always rolled it. And so they buy the flour and there's nothing wrong with that.
That is going the way of it's starting to go that way. Do you think a micro facility produces better cannabis than a large LP?
I mean, I think that if you're smaller, you're better. But I gotta say, I've seen the Ancaster facility before when it was T God, and then I've seen it.
I just went to it
and transition to Bazam, and they're growing living soil, indoor, super high quality flower. It's got Chris LeBlanc's the master grower there. He's awesome what he does, and they're doing some stuff that when I walked into that facility for the first time, I was like, oh my God, like sunk my heart, because I was like, if they decide to post-harvest their products better, micros are in trouble. You know what I mean? Because this is really good flour.
I think the honest answer is it depends who the guy is that's steering the ship. There's big ships and small ships. Some people are doing a average job in the small gardens, and some people are knocking it out of the park in the small gardens, and the same can be said for large gardens.
Yeah, for sure. The smaller gardens, you can really get on top of problems quick because you notice them fast. Small canopy, right?
Absolutely.
You're not getting deal with microclimates, which is
totally. And you can, large gardens tend to lean towards cultivars that are business friendly, where small gardens lean against cultivars that, guys have brought into the space through their 10-2s, and they just love the flower. It smokes really good. It looks really good. It doesn't yield very good, but they love it, and they figure the consumer will love it too. So yeah, I mean, small gardens you're going to get more unique stuff out of small gardens for sure. But large facilities with the right team.
Can too much defoliation cause problems if I'm using under canopy lighting?
Too much defoliation, I wouldn't say. You want to leave some on there for sure. You want the lighting to kind of hit your leaves and not necessarily your buds. So stripping it down too much is problematic because it'll reduce yield. Most, in some cases, taking not enough off can kind of present problems.
It's a delicate
Like,
balance.
yeah, airflow and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you want to maintain all that.
Yeah, I don't want to see dark spots in your canopy. I don't want to see dark underneath. If and you can genuinely look right underneath the canopy. If it's dark down there, that's bad. And that's really where under canopy kind of fits a perfect niche.
What I found that like with the under canopy lights, they have a different spectrum than the LEDs.
Yep.
You get that red sort of postured lighting. I think that when we do our strip, if we have a built-in canopy and the lighting's coming from the bottom, you should just see a very nice hue of light over the top. But if you're seeing too much red come through, likely you've taken off too much.
Absolutely. That I can barely see my under canopies when I've done it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally is a hue. Has the increased canopy space of a microprocessor allowed for more robust pheno hunting?
For a processor, they're not necessarily cultivating, but for micro cultivator, they like a more robust. That drippy is really good. Can you repeat the question?
Basic.
How's the pheno hunting going with more space?
Pheno, you got more space, you can do more pheno hunting, right? But if you have small space, you're selective on what you're putting in your rooms or leaving in there and hunting.
I love it. It's great.
LED versus HPS, which is better?
LED, 100%. It's the future. If you're in British Columbia, there's a BC Hydro grant that allows you to likely swap out all your lighting and get in LED lighting for a minute fraction of the price, if anything. And so like I highly suggest everybody making that change and looking into that grant. BC Hydro purchases flour, oddly enough, from the United States and then consumes it here. So the less power they consume here, the more profitable they are, which is why they're incentivizing people to use more efficient lighting.
Okay, amazing. And that's 100% true. When Green Planet can help you with getting that grant or pointing you in the right direction with whatever province you're in, it's a pretty cool, and it's a substantial grant. Like in some cases, people get lights for close to free. It really depends on location, depends on a whole bunch of stuff. But is LED better than HPS? I've grown with both. Both have their pros and cons. Both have their techniques. But the fact that I can get my photons directly at the plant in a cooler way, in a better spectrum, in a healthier way, the plants respond better. I get more trichome production. There's a fucking list of reasons. But my biggest recommendation is if you are an HPS grower, you got 20 lights, buy 2 LEDs. Learn the product first before you jump all the way.
Yeah, because I mean, we grew with HPS when we had our medical license, and we're like, providing products for ourselves, right? And then so it was an inexpensive point of entry, right? LEDs tend to cost a little bit more. Long term, they don't, because you get a HPS, you're buying new bulbs every time your balances are going, things like that, right? So I would say like the initial cost of LEDs, whether you get the grant or not, it outweighs it, in my opinion. But again, there's lots of really great high pressure sodium flour out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a older style of growing, but it worked really, really well. I mean, even the donkey dicks, I mean, those lights used to literally go into the plant canopies. Does it apply to an ACMPR grow LED? It transcends all growing, ACMPR or under the microprocessor or large LP.
So like the ACMPR guys, they should go LED. It's way more cost effective for them, especially when you're growing for yourself, which is what that program's all about, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, if you don't know LED, learn it. The future is going to be crazy. I have a new system where one of our rooms is learning and adjusting based on AI nowadays, and it's implementing changes in ECs and light penetration. The VPDs are always changing, so all the tech stuff is really like coming through.
Absolutely.
And if you're not on auto feeds and you're not, have HPS bulbs and stuff like that in your room, open your mind, expand your mind to the possibility of like, can you do better? Can results be better?
Listen, the days of running 2 pounds of light, back when I was a kid, if you yielded 2 pounds, you're like, oh my God, that guy pulls 2 pounds of light. That's normal now. And you're hearing guys pulling 4 a light. These are monster numbers. And it's only because more technology is available and people are getting better at what they do. That's it.
Totally. And the guys like, Jeff was our master grower. He grew the way he grew for a long time. And the more he's like been involved with the legal market and the more he's like really decided to like make the change and focus completely on this, has opened his eyes up to like, I don't have to feed my plants like a caveman anymore.
Yeah.
We can have auto feed. I can use LED lighting. I can try these new things. I mean, he just pulled 3.8 pounds of light.
Yeah. And that's not fabricated. That's an actual number. Those numbers are hitting. And you're doing it with 660 watts in a lot of cases.
Yeah, but having said that, the under canopy lighting is what made that difference. So I push everybody to make that change too.
It's a holistic approach, right? It's not one link in a chain anymore. There's so much available, so much tech available. And if you're not adopting kind of it all in a really good way, more energy efficient, but it costs money. And to pull heavy yields costs money. To be really good in this game costs money.
But not long term. It's a one-time investment.
Absolutely. It saves you on the power bills. I mean, it really does. And like I can say this confidently. In the last decade, there's never been a product that I can genuinely say pays for itself in one crop.
Totally. It's not snake oil. It's real.
Yeah. And I really believe that the under canopy pays for itself in one crop minimum. And then everything is upside.
Yeah.
Does LED yield higher than HPS?
Well, in the HPS world, I've never produced more than 2.6, 2.7 pounds of light ever.
And that's for 1,000 watts.
Yeah. And so there's factors in play, right? If you had HPS up top and under canopy below, would that result differently? Possibly.
That works pretty awesome too, by the way.
Yeah, so we run a LED like yourself. You have Think Grow, awesome product. We run LED for our top canopy and our Grandmaster, Faven, Luminar, all these good products for under canopies. And so the best yields we've ever done were with LED up, LED below.
Yeah, I agree. Do I believe the legal weed being HPS versus LED is because of the legal market, and that's why the new weed is not as strong? New weed is stronger, in my opinion, compared to the old school weed that would fuck you up.
Well, it's all about strains, right?
Yeah.
Like the cultivars, you have the old gassy Rockstar, Death Bubbas, Pinks, things like that. They're always going to fuck you up, right?
Yeah.
The newer strains that the legal market wants to see are like, not always the same, right? As that Death Bubba.
Skittles,
Yeah, it's got to be beautiful. It's got to be big. It's got to,
but old school PK, and all the punch in the face strains, like that,
Totally. And then like the new regulations allow for dried flower products to be visually seen by the consumer. So that's really going to like push a lot more legacy, product into the market, or legacy producers to like show these products that are awesome. Cause like there's some really, really nice looking flower in the legal space nowadays.
Absolutely. That's a major transition in the last 2 years.
Yeah. But the strains evolve, right? The strains evolve. You'll see less and less and more of this. And, sativas and stuff will be hot and then indicas won't be. And then vice versa.
Yeah. What was the best question you think, Logan, that you had today?
My favorite question, they're all great. I don't know who's asking these questions, but everybody's amazing.
You know what? Everybody's amazing. I'm gonna go with it. I like the guy that said "fuck you up," so that's gonna be the question. Just for the "fuck you up," why not? Logan, this has been a real pleasure, man. And I'm looking forward to the next poker game. And hey, by the way, that was a really good hand that on the river. You had a full house, and then I got a full house on the river, and
yeah, you were dead in the water, and something came back to save you.
That was amazing. Listen,
you were dead in the water. Let's keep playing like that. I'm all in.
Listen, I was all in too. I mean, I had trips, but that 3 came up on the river. I was pretty excited.
I think that was like 20 dabs later. Yeah, maybe you didn't realize what you were doing.
Listen, it took me. I had to second guess myself because you're really good at poker, and every once in a while, I become a lucky duck. So, Logan, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for your insight into the industry.
As well.
And keep up the great work.
Keep it green, bro.
Take care. Bye.